Good afternoon, everybody. Here are some parts I bought because I have to replace my fuel tank sending unit. This is the OEM one. That's the sending unit. That makes your gas tank work. It's got the float. Here's the lock, and here's the gasket. If I ordered the right parts, I'm pretty sure I did. And this is another story. Axle strap. That's another video. But I'll show you how this works. Hold on a sec. Okay, so the way this works is your battery's connected to a voltage regulator, which steps the voltage down to around 9 volts DC. Okay, so 9 volts DC goes to your fuel gauge, and then after the fuel gauge, a wire goes to the back of the car and connects to the where I have the red lead connected, the bottom terminal there, the insulated one, the one that is not connected to the body. And it goes to what is essentially a just a variable resistor now. So this is what your resistance. So the idea is the higher the resistance, the lower the current flowing through the your gas gauge. So the lower the current, the lower the deflection of the needle. So with 248 ohms, the float is at the bottom of your tank, and your gas gauge will read empty because there's a lot of resistance in the meter circuit. So now I'm just going to push this, go like this. So as you could see, as the float is coming up, a full tank is reading around, about 14 ohms. That's ohms, okay? So when the float is all the way high, you have a full tank. And then let's go back to an empty tank. Going back to an empty tank, high resistance. Go back to a full tank, low resistance. Okay? So that's how that works. So this is a project I'll be doing soon. I just got to see how much gas I have. If I have less than a half a tank, I can just lift up the side of the car where the sending unit goes in, and should be all right. And there are drain plugs on these tanks, but I don't want to mess with them. I mean, if I have to, I will, but I think I could just jack the car up on an angle. So there you go. The range is like, I don't know, 14 ohms to like 250. I'll do it slow. This is what happens when you're filling your tank with gas. Okay. There you go. Okay. Just want to show you guys that. Pretty cool. They make a more modern one with a circuit board in there. Supposedly it's more reliable, but I don't mind the standard one. They're easy to change. Okay. Bye. Brand new taillight lenses. Quite beautiful. Hello, everybody. I'm going to do the fuel sending unit today. I'm on a roll. It's April 22nd. I'm getting a little tired, but... And of course, this one uses a 1/4 inch. But this one does not. So there's always something to annoy you when you're doing any job. So I have to, this is like a .187 female. The ground one. That's the ground terminal. And then the wiper gets a 1/4 inch. So I have to see if I have a smaller female terminal here. Let's go check out to see if the tank is empty. Alright, before we check that the tank is empty, here's some not so great wiring. Terminals are all gone. This thing is reading, by the way, it's reading over 200 ohms, even when I have a full tank, which is wrong. It should read like 15 or 20 ohms when you have a full tank. Always measure resistance with the power off. Okay, so the tank is pretty empty. Kind of getting that kettle drum, timpani, steel drum sound. So I don't think there's going to be gas up here. Well, if it starts pouring out, then so be it. You can also jack one side of the car up a little bit if you have gas in it. Jack up the right side if you want to do that. Okay, I got to go find the other terminal. I'll be back. Incidentally, I usually solder things, but this has nothing to do with the running of the car, the ignition system. So I'm just going to crimp on the terminals. Okay, got your ring, your gasket, cutters, strippers and crimpers, keys to my garage, hammer, and a screwdriver to get off the lock ring. Basically all you need. So I'm going to cut these wires off, and I have to crimp on the terminals that I showed you. But I definitely have to get the right size. That smaller one's that's a .187, I think. I think it's a 3/16. And the big one's a 1/4 inch. Okay, we're in like Flynn. And I have 2 extras. I only need 1. Thank you, my local True Value hardware store. Really appreciate you having the stuff that I need. Okay, let's get to it. Okay, here's my old wiring. I'm going to just cut them off and crimp on new terminals. And there's a ground wire here that somebody just twisted together. I'm just going to solder that. Tank sounds pretty empty. Okay, let's get this done. Let's get this done before it gets dark, so I can go for a ride and have a gas gauge. Okay, my wires are prepped. Here's my ground. And this goes to the isolated terminal. Come on, focus. There it is. Well, it's having trouble focusing, but the this one here, there it is. That's a 1/4 inch terminal. I'm sorry, I'm having. There it is. That's a 1/4 inch. That's a 1/4 inch female terminal for 16 to 14 gauge wire, and this one's a .187 or 3/16 for the ground. They're 2 different sizes. Okay, now what we have to do is where's my torch? We have to hit this. We're gonna hit that tab, okay, to rotate this. Okay, that'll rotate it out. Okay, until these parts here get to the line up with these opened parts, and it'll come out. Just got to tap it with a hammer. counterclockwise, and that'll come out. Tank feels pretty empty. Okay, here's the ring. I just tapped it counterclockwise. Still in good shape. Not really rusty, but I got a new one. Okay, now we're going to get out the sending unit and the gasket. Okay, slight miscalculation on the amount of gas in my tank. So, had a bit of a gas spill, but that's okay. I put the ring back, and what I'm going to do is just jack up this side of the car. Wiring's done. Just going to jack up this side of the car so all the gas goes to the other side of the tank. And we should be okay. If a little bit comes out, that's okay. I have a bucket over here I can put under it. Okay, thank you. I'll jack up the car now. Thanks. Bye. Okay, there's the jack. And there's my jack stand. I don't know if this is enough to prevent fuel from coming out. It's better than it was. Whatever spills is going to evaporate. It's not much in there. Okay. I have this on a 2x4 on the side here. Should hold it. And I have a little bucket under here to catch any excess gas. Okay, I'm losing daylight. I gotta get this done. Okay, there's the old one. I actually did this with gas pouring out. It wasn't pretty. Hope nobody lights a match. But just a little bit of gas poured in this bucket. So you can see on this particular sending unit, the ground is on top and the terminal that comes from the gas gauge is on the bottom. I'm not done. I put my new rubber gasket in first. First I put the rubber gasket in, then I put the sending unit in. Kind of angling it in from the front of the car so the float goes in first. And you got to make sure that these 1, 2, 3 are on top of your sealing ring. And I'm gonna, this is a angled, for lack of a better word, trim sealing ring, fuel tank sending lock. One's the gasket, one's the lock. So this is angled, so as you tighten it, it gets tight, it pushes in. So I have to take a screwdriver, I have to turn this clockwise. You know, you could hit them with a hammer. I just hand tighten it, it's already stopped leaking gas. So I'm just gonna firm it up with a screwdriver until this point gets to this tab sticking out. And that's as tight as you can make it anyway. You see the taper on the locking ring. Okay, I'm gonna do that now. A lot of fumes here. Okay, she's on. I have to say that I was tightening it at first, and this bottom one just popped out from underneath the clamp. So I had to hammer in the clamp a little bit. So now there's this clamp is holding, this top clamp is holding, and this bottom clamp is holding. Not much to it. It's not leaking. I'm going to connect the wires and lower the car. and then we'll see if this works. Not going to start it. Got a lot of gas back here. Going to clean this up. But we'll see if the gauge works. Okay, she's all done. When I slid on the little female connector, the ground one, this top one, it was loose. I didn't like the way it went on, so I took my pliers and I bent in the two sides. Just do it a little bit, otherwise you won't be able to get it on the male terminal. So I had to bend those in on the female terminal on the ground, the top one there. But now it's good. So I'm going to jack the car down, turn my battery on, put the key in, and see if the gauge goes up, because I know it's not an empty tank. Okay, bye. As you could see, it's a beautiful night. I've been out here all day working on this car, getting a lot done. So you can see the float, the old float is filled with gas. Can you see it? There. So, not much of a float if it's filled with gas. So, I mean, the resistive part may still work in here. But if the float is bad, I mean, technically, I could have just bought a float. I could have just bought this piece of plastic. But I wanted all new mechanical, this is an electromechanical device. So, you know, I didn't want to just change the float and then 6 months later this part might fail because it's old. But I was getting over 200 ohms, which is the reading you get when your tank is empty. But I was getting that when my tank was full because this thing was sinking. See you later. Okay, I'm in the car, and I just recorded the, a very high point of this video. But I didn't record it because I forgot to hit record. So it's hard to repeat it, and be authentic about it. So here goes. I just turned on the key, and let's see what happens. So let's just repeat what I just did. Come on, baby. So there we go. It's working. So you get to a certain age and you don't care about certain things, and so silly me tried to do a sending unit with almost 3/4 of a tank of gas in the tank. I don't know why I thought it was empty or close to empty. It was making a kind of a tinny sound, I guess. But jacking up the car worked, and so there you have it. I don't want to leave my car on because you're not supposed to leave these cars with points on without the car running, so I'm just going to cut it. So I have about almost 3/4 of a tank of gas. This new sending unit is working. Everything looks great. Well, I hope you like this video. Always check for leaks, check for leaks a day or two later. Even a couple of months later, just to make sure. I mean, you'll smell gas if there's a leak. Just safety first. Okay. Take care now. Thanks for watching. I'm just going to turn this off. Watch the gauge go down. So I've been working on this car all day. It's a Friday. I had off today and the weather was nice. When you're on a roll, you're on a roll. You just keep going. And what did I do? I don't even remember what I did. on this car today. Oh, I did an oil change and I adjusted the carburetors, and then took a little break, and then I decided to do the fuel sending unit. And so little by little, things are coming together on the car. And guys, fix your fuel gauge. I mean, come on. I know people who have had cars for years and just without a working fuel gauge. Even if you have to get an aftermarket one, it's the wiring is pretty easy to do. And it's so much nicer when you have a fuel gauge. Okay, thanks for watching, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. Today's April 22nd, Friday night. Everybody's having a good time, doing the best they can under the circumstances. And we'll see you for the next video. I don't know what that's going to be all about, but we'll see you then. Bye-bye.